Alrighty, so I think I'm going to entitle this one One Fish, Two Fish, Red Fish, Giraffe. For those of you who are familiar with the Dr. Seuss book, you will have undoubtedly recognized that and felt, um, let's see, felt that title go off the tracks. And kind of like how our society seems to be going off the tracks right now. So cancel culture. I mean, I talked about it in my last video and wanted to build on that a little bit. So, talk about Dr. Seuss and really use that to lead into something else. It's just a strange thing, right? The cancel culture has gone after Dr. Seuss. Now, it's interesting because Dr. Seuss is for the kids, generally speaking. I mean, this is when you're at first introduced to Dr. Seuss. I mean, who hasn't read Dr. Seuss to their kids, right? And somehow this is now something that we aren't allowed to do anymore. The elites have made a decision and they have decided that for our benefit, because we don't know really, you know, what's best for us, that they are going to eliminate Dr. Seuss because he had some racial things in his past. He did some certain paintings and things that might be deemed not politically correct and maybe racially insensitive. And therefore, all of his work now must be canceled. And so it doesn't take long to figure out that this sort of standard in which you can be have your whole livelihood, your whole reputation attempted to be erased just because some body got this ball going, decided that it was worth the effort, and then all of the nanny state jumped on board and made a decision to cancel Dr. Seuss. And it's interesting because, again, this is a kid's book, right? And these are the same people that seem to be okay with the tranny story time in libraries. So you've got this sort of juxtaposition, right, where you can't have green eggs and ham, but you can have. I'm sure there's something I could rhyme there. I'm sure Dr. Seuss could come up with something that was really a disgusting version of green eggs and ham that has something to do with transvestites or um, LGBT, um, whatever. And it's just, this is a problem with our society that we are over sexualizing our children to start with. So they have no problem with that. I mean, whether or not you're confused about your gender or what you think is fine for sexuality aside, all that is aside, we used to think that there was an appropriate time to introduce that to your kids, and now the state has taken it on themselves to choose that time and the manner in which they will educate your kids on their genitals. So that's, the same state that's decided that Dr. Seuss is unseemly. And, it seems strange, um, incorrect. It doesn't seem like we live in a normal world anymore. It, uh, and who are these people that are so wrong but think of themselves so right. And the reason, and what I really wanted to do was focus on Dr. Seuss and say that if Dr. Seuss is worthy of cancellation, I have a new candidate. We can, since this is what we're doing now, I have a candidate. And what's good is that I actually looked this up. I started wanting to get some quotes and things together about this candidate, and others have, you know, others have jumped on board too because they saw this as well. That if since we're doing this, there's a candidate that boy really jumps right out, and I'm not even talking about the Democrat Party that supported slavery, created the Ku Klux Klan, and thinks they give race cards to people. It tells them what their race is how they vote and these sort of things. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about um, Charles Darwin. Charles Darwin, who is the father of evolution. And for those of you who have listened to me before, may have picked up on the fact that I don't like evolution at all. And so this seemed to jump out at me pretty quickly. Um, why are we still supporting Charles Darwin when Charles Darwin supports no, Charles Darwin is a textbook racist. Okay, I'm not talking about racist and how we like to play with definitions in our day and age. We don't really know what tolerance means anymore. We don't know what diversity is anymore. We kind of say these things flippantly. We throw them out. And I've talked about this. It's like postmodernism, and really postmodernism is how the 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 elite sneak in ambiguousness so that they can basically just do whatever they want to do. So once definitions are up in the air, it basically means that those who are in power can then enforce things even outside what everybody knows the norm to be. That's what is going on. And so, when it comes to Darwin, um, he is a racist, like clinical racist. Again, we tend to have morphed that word where it's like you can just be prejudiced to a certain extent about race and somehow that makes you a racist. But that makes you prejudiced. You can be prejudiced about a lot of things. You might not like bald people, right? That's a prejudice that you have, right? It doesn't it's this it's not racist though, right? Here's the thing. A textbook racist is somebody who actually thinks that there is a hierarchy between different races. I don't know, like the fact that other races are closer to animals than other human race. Like they actually classify humans in different racial groups. That's a that's a scientific racist. That's Charles Darwin. That's that is the underpinning. His book is the underpinning of Western civilization to a great extent. So if there is a white privilege, if there is this racial, um, what do you call it? This racial uh, situation that just undergirds everything in our society, Western civilization, um, might I say evolution? We teach it to our kids. We from the since when they're very tiny, we're telling them you cannot watch a show about anything practically nowadays. Any documentary that has to do with nature of any type, you're going to hear this millions of years ago. And then that's going to be, well, where did we come from? Well, we're not created by God, obviously. We can't say that. That's offensive. So we have to say we're monkeys. And so then you have to say, well, there's this progression, you see. We evolved. And so where's the missing link? And then, oh so studiously, we will have our elites come to us and explain these things to us. Um, let's go into some Darwin quotes. So, what he liked to do is call certain races, human races. See, I think we're all the same race, but he didn't think that. See, he thinks Australians and Mongolians and Africans, Indians, South Americans, Polynesians, and Eskimos were all savages. That's a lot. That's like all around the world. Is there anyone that's not? I'm trying to think. Didn't that just leave Europe and North America at that point? So, this is what Charles Darwin thought. Um, let's let's I don't want to make this too long, but so I just want to throw this out there, right? Let's do this. Let me give you this Charles Darwin quote, and I'm going to give you my my best English accent I can do. Old English. With savages, the weak in body and mind are soon eliminated, and those who survive commonly exhibit a vigorous state of health. We civilized men, on the other hand, do our utmost to check the process of elimination. We build asylums for the imbecile, the maimed, and the sick. We institute poor laws, and our medical men exert their utmost skill to save the life of everyone to the last moment. There is reason to believe that vaccination has preserved thousands who, from a weak constitution, would formerly have succumbed to smallpox. Thus, the weak members of societies, civilized societies, propagate their kind. No one who has attended to the breeding of domestic animals will doubt that this must be highly injurious to the race of man. Excuse my pompous, that's the best pompous elitist old school voice I could come up with. But these are the people that are running our society, guys. This is why they'll never get rid of Darwin, because it's what they think. This is what they think. I've talked about this before, how, I compared the left to Thanos, wanting to this is somebody like Bill Gates. He's worried about the population. You notice the people that are worried about the population aren't leading by example. You notice that? They're always looking to get rid of the other people. Those people. You know, until we wisen up and realize and stop voting for these people and stop empowering these people and stop justifying these people and stop defending these people to our friends and neighbors, we're going to deal with this, where they're going to lead us. They're going to force us. They're going to make decisions on our behalf. Who lives, who survives. And it starts with who can speak and who cannot speak, and who gets canceled and who doesn't get canceled.